in India. Can't think of it, right? Well, some news for you, in case you haven't been tracking it. The big cats that disappeared some 74 years ago are finally set to return. 8 wild cheetahs from Namibia in Africa have already arrived in India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be welcoming and releasing them, 5 females and 3 males, into the Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh on his birthday, which is on September 17th. Talk about a wild birthday party. Speaking about their journey to India, the special Indian aircraft bringing in these wild cheetahs from southern Africa has got India's national animal, the tiger, painted on its front. There you see it. That's the picture. Question is, what led to the extinction of the cheetahs? Just take you back in time. It was in 1952 that the Indian government declared that the cheetahs had become extinct in the country. The big feline was completely wiped out from India because of rapid human development, ramped up hunting, their overuse for coursing, sport hunting, and habitat loss. So there were multiple reasons. Now, this is not the first time, just by the way, that India has made an effort to reintroduce cheetahs in the country. In the 1970s, Indian officials had come close to reintroducing these extinct species by negotiating to exchange some of India's lions for Iran's cheetahs. But the deal fell apart in the lead up to the Iranian Revolution. In 2009, the idea was once again revived, and eventually it got the green light when India organized a closed meeting of officials and scientists to discuss bringing the cheetahs back. Now, there are some who are saying that reintroducing the species would restore a now vacant ecological niche. Tasked with identifying sites for a possible reintroduction, Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh was honed in, and by 2012, negotiations were underway with Namibia to import a first batch of cheetahs. But then the Supreme Court intervened, passing a judgment saying that Kuno should be prioritized for reintroducing Asiatic lions rather than cheetahs, and that any cheetahs eventually brought to India should come from Iran, not Africa. The judgment, however, proved impossible to carry out. And in 2020, the National Tiger Conservation Authority, the government group tasked with managing India's tigers, petitioned the Supreme Court for permission to move forward with the estimated 28 million mega plan to bring African cheetahs to India. The top court finally accepted, after decades of effort, in India finally getting the green signal from the courts to get the cheetahs back home. Now, the question, of course, is it a good idea? Because there are conservationists who are saying this is not the best idea. Just to delve into that, Dr. S Easa is a biodiversity scientist. He's joining us on the broadcast. MK Ranjit Sinh Jhala is a wildlife conservationist. He's joining us as well. And Ajay Suri is a wildlife expert with us as well. Good to see you, Ajay, after many, many years. Ajay and I have known each other for a very long time.
Yeah, many years, Shreya.
That's true. I want to ask you, Ajay, where you stand on this debate, because, you know, many would say this is a happy occasion. After 74 years, the cheetah will walk Indian soil. What can be the harm in that? Why just criticize the government for the sake of criticizing it? This is a happy moment that should be celebrated. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I'm not a fence-sitter on this, Shreya. I'm very excited at what's happening, and I think this is a very, very exciting phase. Don't forget, this translocation of species is something which has been done before. And in India, we have been, riding on not one but 2 successes. We have tigers, brought back to Sariska in Rajasthan when they were wiped out. And again, we have had successful reintroduction of tigers in Panna. Despite all seemingly insurmountable odds, we succeeded. And I think Kuno is just the right place, and the right kind of study was done by WII, the Wildlife Institute of India, and many other scientists. And after that, it was decided that this is the place and this is the time to bring cheetah back to India. And I'm particularly, personally, very excited about all these developments.
MK Ranjit Singh, what about you? I mean, we'll see the Prime Minister hold a wild birthday party, as it were, but there are conservationists who are saying that this is not the best idea, simply because there is a reason why cheetahs went extinct in India. You can't simply translocate them from Namibia into the heart of India and expect them to survive. They will venture out, they will get killed. Will they know how to survive, negotiate Indian terrain, etc.? There has been an argument made as well. What will your response be to that? MK Ranjit Singh, can you hear me? Okay, let me try and see if I can go to Dr. Easa for a moment. Dr. Easa, you'll have to unmute yourself, sir.
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can. Go ahead, please.
What is the objection in bringing them in? We have lost a species. There is a school of thought which said that cheetahs never belonged to India, and that has been debunked. So the whole world knows, except for people who don't want to believe, that the cheetah were in India, but they have come from South Africa like the lion did, like the ratel did, and many other species from Africa to India. Now, it's the species which we have lost. It's the only species, large mammalian species, which we have lost since independence. And it's the one of the three species only that we have lost in historical time, mammalian. The other two, the two big rhinoceros, Sumatran and Javan, were not central to the Indian peninsula, they were peripheral. But yes, they were there, but they went before the independence of this country. One is to bring it back, but the other is to bring back a focus on another ecosystem. The bringing in the cheetah is important. It brings in focus on wildlife, on nature conservation, but it brings focus on a very forgotten and extremely important ecotypes, biome of this country, the forest grassland mosaics. We use the tiger. I happen to be the member secretary which started Project Tiger, and during my tenure as Director of Wildlife, we started Project Snow Leopard. The idea was not just to save the snow leopard and the tiger, but to save something much more important than the tiger and the snow leopard, which is the habitat. The wild habitat and all the other biota which exist there, including very endangered species. So with that, as I said, we were able to achieve a cross-section of different habitats of this country to save the tiger and the snow leopard. We did the same with the gharial and the dolphin for the rivers. Nobody bothered about the rivers, but now there are sanctuaries on rivers. Now, the same thing we would like to take up to focus attention on the most productive ecosystem in this country, which is the grassland and forest mosaics, which are the most neglected, most overused and abused because of the last huge livestock population in the world, the largest livestock population in the world.
But there is an argument against bringing them as well, bringing the cheetahs in and translocating them.
I'm sure.
Can I get that part of the argument?
This is a free country and everybody has a right to argue and the right to oppose.
And so let Dr. Easa then come in. Dr. Easa, there was a bit of a problem with your audio. I think we've managed to fix that. Why oppose something which is going to be a happy, proud moment for India? Many conservationists like you are arguing that translocation is not the best idea. Will the cheetahs be able to survive at all?
See, I was surprised to see here that equating tiger bringing back to Panna and Sariska to cheetah being brought to India. So that's not correct. Because there had been reasons for the extinction of the species from our country or from the area where we had. Now, the second thing is, I consider it as a luxury conservation effort because we don't have that many resources, financial resources and human resources to dedicate to the reintroduction of cheetah to these places, because we do have a lot of human-wildlife conflict issues and conservation issues all over the country. Now, are we going to spend? I mean, what is your prioritization? What is your priority? Is it cheetah bringing back or solving the conservation issues which we are facing in this country? We do have enough issues in this case. I'm sure that, definitely the scientific community in WIA should have looked into the ecological aspects and everything. But I think there was an introductory remark that, the first attempt was to bring it from Iran. Now, any reintroduction process say that, genetically it should be the same one. But of course, we don't have any proof to say that, whether this is genetically good one or the Iranian one is correct. But I think, we have to prioritize. We don't have that many resources. And another thing, we do have enough problems with the other predators in the country. Now we are bringing another predator which needs larger spaces and which are also known to be a problematic animal, at least in some part of the parts of the world, its range. And there are issues reports, and there are studies talking about human wildlife cheetah conflict in some areas. And if you're looking at the number of, the area, the home range of this animal, it also definitely needs a lot of space. Now, can we afford to have this? That's a question.
Okay, so there are questions, Ajay Suri, but any response? I don't have too much time, but any response to the questions that are being raised?
Yeah, I've got a different take on it, Shreya. Why I mentioned tigers was that the time when cheetahs disappeared, the same problem, the same set of problems, whether it was man-animal conflict, whether it was overgrazing or overhunting, which led to the virtual extinction of tigers. Don't forget that about 15 years ago, only 1,411 tigers were left, and now how magnificently they have rebounded. See, the same thing happened with cheetah. We have got so many success stories. Let me just tell you one. In Yellowstone National Park of United States, the gray wolf, which is the apex predator there, it disappeared completely in 1926. In 1995, the gray wolves were reintroduced in Yellowstone. A batch of 40 was, placed there. And today, there are more than 500 gray wolves in Yellowstone.
Okay.
And the success story of how tigers were brought back. This is an exemplary thing, and it can be replicated for cheetah because the grassland is the same. And secondly, in Africa, lions, leopards, cheetahs, they coexist at the same place. And I think they can surely well do the same thing here also. It's not that if a tiger is in one area, cheetah cannot survive or leopard cannot survive. In India, in almost all the national parks, tigers and leopards are surviving in the same terrain.
Okay. Okay, Ajay, we'll leave it there for the moment. I'm afraid I've completely run out of time. But it seems that we will be welcoming the cheetahs on the 17th of September, which is the Prime Minister's birthday. Completely out of time. I'm sure we'll have an occasion to have a longer discussion and a longer chat about this, possibly on the 17th, gentlemen. Thank you very much and good night. Dr. S Easa, MK Ranjit Sinh Jhala, and of course, Ajay Suri. Thank you very much.